Good morning, esteemed viewers and audience. Sorry, I'm checking my mic to see that it is properly positioned and it is working. I really appreciate everybody. Thank you for um, giving me audience. I thank those that have subscribed, those that have liked, and I'm also expecting our comments, especially from the last introduction video. I promised last time that every week I would drop a content at least once in a week, and I'm here to fulfill it because I took it as a solemn promise. And so today we'll be talking generally about life, the existentiality of life, life in general. And today I'll be finding it quite difficult to pin a topic specifically for this purpose. And so I will crave your indulgence to just enjoy the ride. So I'll be talking about it, and from there we'll begin to branch in subsequent editions of this program as we go on. Today I want to ask us this question. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. I want to ask us a specific question. What is life? What is life? And I don't expect a specific definition because the truth of the matter is there is no specific definition of what life means. Philosophers define life differently, and ultimately they say that we are just existing. Scientists, on the other side of the divide, will say that life, especially biologists, will tell you that life started from a cell. And I'm asking the question, who created the cell? Our religion will tell you that God created the entire of mankind and existence as we know it today. But this moment, I want to take an example, a cue from what we are used to, and that is movies. Okay, many of us are so attached to movies. Okay, we are addicted to movies. But what does movies communicate to you? A certain person takes ownership and responsibility of an entire movie and then releases it for the consumption by the audience. What we don't know is that that particular person, referred to as the producer, probably bettered the idea of that movie or bought the idea from whoever wrote the script. And so it's a story that needs to be told. The producer is responsible for engaging different characters and ensuring that those persons work their best in order to produce outcomes that he personally so desires. And in the course of that production, a lot of errors are made by the superstars. They are handed notes to read through maybe months before each episode is shot or each scene is shot. But despite that, they make certain errors while shooting each scene, and they have opportunities to address those errors and correct them in order to produce a perfect work at the end of the day. Now let's juxtapose it with life as we speak about, as we're talking about. Life also is a sort of universal movie being replayed by the creator. The creator had already perfected this universal movie, this existence movie, this life movie, and we are all living out the replay of that movie. The difference is that characters in this life movie have the opportunity, they are given the privilege to redirect the course of their role, redirect the course of their performance, and so it is flexible. Whereas in human-made movie, the role performance is rigid, is strict, is as dictated by the producer through the director. But in live movie, every participant, every character is given the free choice, free will to adjust their course of performance in the process of producing this universal movie. You don't know when you were inserted into this movie of life, and you don't know when you'll be extracted from this movie of life. But what you have is that you'll be given the opportunity that as you are growing, you make certain choices or decisions that will help shape the outcomes of your performance in this life movie. I want to also let us know that just like human movies, life movie has sin, so it's sins, and so it has sins within sin. It has plotting and settings within other settings, within larger plots, and it is a movie within a network of different other movies that is aimed at producing one final movie. But the difference is that it has already been produced and is on replay, and we are part of that replay. Let me pause so that I take water. Let me sip water. Thank you. I made mention of opportunities. Okay, human beings being given the opportunities to redirect the course of their own performance in this universal life movie. And so, what would need redirection if not mistakes have been done? If not, mistakes have been done. And so that leads me to talk about mistakes and life as a whole. Mistakes in human made movies are detected by the director or the producer. The actors or the actresses performing such roles might not on their own notice that they have made certain errors in trying to bring life to their lines. And so they are compelled to adjust it, they are compelled to correct it. It doesn't matter if it takes 10 attempts to getting the perfect result. But in life movie, in the universal life movie that we are all part of, when human beings make certain mistakes, we are easy to condemn them and don't give them the opportunity to adjust. And so let me ask you this question. Do you believe that people change in the course of living life? Or are you part of those people that believe that human beings never change? If they have done something negative, that is how they will continue till the end of their time. And so mistake comes to us as lessons, which as characters in this universal movie, we are at liberty to see them as mistakes or as a pattern. And so because we are given that liberty to readjust or to decide the trajectory of how we want our own performance to play out in this life movie, we are given that chance to see those things as mistakes or to accept them and take them as patterns and how we want our life to turn out. So, what are mistakes? Mistakes are actually an opportunity given to every character in this life movie to either accept and take responsibility of that present situation that is not acceptable and thereby take the necessary next steps that will address them in order to redefine those actions and make them better. Basically, what I'm saying is that mistakes are a window of opportunity given to us to either improve of what we have done before and consider them mistakes or to continue with it. So, for those people that believe that once someone does something negative, they cannot change, they shouldn't also look at it that mistakes are done. Such persons that believe that people do not change, that because they have done this thing that is bad, they will continue in that way, have certain things troubling their minds. And it is left for you to believe me or not. In their own life journey, they probably would have been exposed to a certain situation where they made certain choices, and then in the course of delivering on those choices, did things that attracted negative consequences. And how they related with that, the situation they found themselves in, the people that they exposed themselves to at that point in time, helped shaping their belief systems to where they are at the moment, where they now believe that people never change. And so it is actually as a result of a misnomer. If you are exposed to people at the point where you made that mistake, to people who don't give second chances, who don't believe that people change for the better, you are likely, you are at a 90% risk of developing their own outlook of life. And so if you're not careful, you will continue it, and then you will think that you are like that. And so what happens is that, for instance, someone steals, and honestly, he was hungry at the moment he stole, and then he stole and to satisfy his hunger. And in the process, he was caught. The people who caught him at that point in time are people in the school of thought that people do not change. And so they started condemning him at that instance that for you to have stolen, it is in your blood, you cannot change. And then the person goes back into their closet and truly and genuinely repents and cries out and says and promises himself that I will no longer repeat this action of mine. Only for him to come out and he's walking down the street. Those same persons that caught him in the act are not like, this person is a thief. And so something gets missing again, and they say, you know what, let's suspect that person, let's ask him, let's suspect that person. Not knowing that the person had genuinely repented in their closet. But what now happens is that if that person is not strong and changed from that environment to be exposed to a better environment, if he continues in that environment, especially in their formative years, it comes to a time where they take up that identity given to them by society that they are thieves. And then they say to themselves that since nobody wants to believe that I can actually change for the better, is it not better I take up this identity and continue in this trajectory, causing havoc? By the way, there are some benefits that accrue to even wrongdoing. And truly, in life's journey, in this life movie, if you are given the benefit of looking at the beginning from the ending, you will notice that yes, there are benefits accruing to crime and negative actions. Okay? Negative actions draw or attract negative consequences. But also, in those negative consequences, sometimes good comes out of them. And I'll give you an instance. What is the benefit of crime? What is the benefit of offense? What is the benefit of war? Have you thought about it? One of the benefits of war, one of the benefits of crime, one of the benefits of offense in the society is government. If everybody in life movie is doing what they ought to do, is right all the time, is after peace, does not fight, does not quarrel, goes about their businesses in the right, healthy way, there will be no need for government. Government came as a result of a desire, okay, to put orderliness in a disjointed, anarchous, brutish society. And so one of the benefits of crime, one of the benefits of disorderliness in society, of wickedness in society, is that we now have a government responsible for directing the affairs of our society, providing protection, safety, and looking after the welfare of the people. Another benefit of crime, disorderliness, negativity, is that we have employment. especially those in the security sector, the police, the armed forces, the secret agents. If society was free of crime, if society was free of anarchy, if society was free of rebellion and negative tendencies, there would be no need for all these people. And most countries in the world, they budget heavily for the safety and the security of their country and their citizens. That is actually one of the benefits of negativity. Am I saying that doing bad things is good? That is not the essence of this video. But I'm also saying that even in the bad, when you look deeply, there are some goodies to take out from it. And so this particular person who has been exposed to naysayers that don't believe that people change, they understand these things and they say, okay, instead of me living a life of conscientiousness where I am content with the little I have, is it not better I take upon myself this identity that society has constructed and imposed on me, drive on it, ride on it, and then make as much as I can make in this short life that I have, especially when they know that one day they will be caught. And so they maximize all the benefit that accrues to them within the shortest period of time that they have to continue in that crime. Now, on the other side of the divide, some of us believe that people change for the better, and that is the sense of mistakes. Without opportunity to change, there will be nothing known such as mistake. It is mistake that give birth to that opportunity for changes to be made. And so, in essence, you can't define mistake without looking at change. And so, yes, people can change. No matter how bad a person is, no matter how bad that behavior is right now, I believe that people can change for the better. And so, what role does mistake play in life movement? What role does it play? Are we to regret mistakes or are we to learn from the mistakes made? These are questions that I would want answers from you. I, as a person, think that mistakes are actually a blessing in disguise. And so you are journeying to a place. The road is not smooth. There are potholes here and there. People that drive through such rough roads become better at driving than those who are exposed to smooth roads all their lives. So mistakes are there to help us forge the capacity to deal with future problems that are coming. Those problems are in the destiny that we are going or walking into. And the only way you can deal with those bigger problems is by addressing the little mistakes that you are encountering as you journey the journey of life within this life movement. And so, no mistake is the same. The person A who stole bread yesterday and person B who stole bread today, they look like similar mistakes, but they are never the same mistakes. Something is different about both mistakes. One, the opportunities that provided themselves in both sin are different. The motive behind the players in both sins are different. The situation that they were exposed to before that occurred and after it occurred are equally different. And so no two mistakes are the same. But of course, two mistakes have similar characteristics. And so one of the beauties of life movie is that we're exposed to mistakes, not that the mistake should consume us, not that our fellow human beings should take advantage and define us by those mistakes, but that these mistakes should help us forge the personality that will be able to perform the next role in this life movie. Have you asked yourself why mistakes hinder people from taking the next step? And so you see people who will live life being very careful, being very cautious of exploring because they want to avoid mistakes in order not to attract a social constructed identity that they would not want to live with. And I can assure you that those people can never enjoy or experience life in this fullness. Coming to this point of my life, I had made series of mistakes, very bad mistakes that I sincerely regret. I have said sorry to certain people, and if you are one of those watching this video right now and I have said sorry to you based on the mistake I have made in the past, trust me, if my sorry to you is about 50% genuine, the sorry that I'm saying within my heart and within my conscience is about 150% more genuine than that which I have told. Because I would have processed the apology in my mind, come up with the reality that actually this mistake that I have made, most of the time, okay, involuntarily, have actually affected the other person negatively. And so we have different types of mistakes, but I would limit it to two broad types of mistakes. The first one is the deliberate mistake, and the second one is the involuntary mistake. The deliberate mistakes, these are mistakes that you will want beforehand that the path you are towing is the wrong one. And you deliberately decided because of the so-called benefit you tend to derive from it, you decided to plunge yourself into it. And it didn't turn out well for you. And you made those mistakes that hurt other people or hurt society at large. That is a deliberate mistake. But there are mistakes that happen just as a result of you being exposed to certain situations that you cannot take control of. And so you made those mistakes and they're involuntary. Sometimes when it is being when it is being replayed to a larger audience, to other people, it comes across as though you planned it. But in reality, they were involuntary, they are impromptu. And it takes you all by yourself to know that they are impromptu, but you cannot explain it. Because from how it is spelled out, from all the looks, it's as though you deliberately planned it and executed it. And so I want to say this, that deliberate mistakes are easily identifiable by the perpetrator and can easily be corrected, whether by way of personal repentance. I am not talking scripturally. When I say repentance, repentance is gotten from a Greek word that denotes a total change in behavior. A total change in behavior. And so deliberate mistakes can be corrected by the perpetrator when he also deliberately changed his course of behavior in order to behave better. Or he is forced and compelled by legal systems, by way of punishment, to correct his behavior. Involuntary mistakes also they are harder to correct because one, the perpetrator is first and foremost at denial that he or she committed such mistakes until such a time that he is convinced, either externally or by internal forces, that what he or she actually did was a mistake. And so it is a little bit difficult to correct involuntary mistakes. However, they can be corrected when the perpetrator finally admits and comes to terms that what they did was a mistake, albeit involuntary. And The pace at which they correct that mistake depends on how the recipient of their mistake, the victim of their mistake, takes that action, takes their repentance. If the person needs to help them in that process in order to make their readjustment faster. Also, their mistakes can, involuntary mistakes can also be corrected by legal instruments. But then it might end up becoming retributive rather than rehabilitative. When a person deliberately commits an offense or makes a mistake, whatever punishment you meet to that person, it can end up becoming rehabilitative because the person knows they were going into this before they ventured into it. And so the person will not always consider it as retributive because they knew that these consequences would come. But when involuntary mistakes are made and the person is meted punishment as though they deliberately did it, he sees the punishment as retributive rather than rehabilitative. And I like the terms being used in prisons of today, correctional centers, and by extension, rehabilitation centers. Why? Because governments all over the world have come to realize that mistakes are part of human journey in this life, universal life movie, as replayed by the Creator. Excuse me, let me take another step. Please, I want to encourage you to subscribe if you haven't. Like our videos and place your comments. I am open to criticisms. It helps me develop capacity to deliver on these things that I'm doing. And I will encourage you to do so. And so that is mistakes. Life is such a beautiful movie in the sense that the creator is replaying it and watching the movie that he has originally created and seeing how the characters in this movie, the characters he inserted in this movie, are recreating the movie all over again. But can I shock you? No matter how the characters in this live movie try to recreate the movie, it will always end up telling the story that the creator, the universal creator, originally intended. And that is why his pattern is different from the human producer. And so, enough of beating up yourself, trying to live a perfect life, which is actually a mirage at its best. You cannot live life in a perfect state of existence. Why? Because this movie is actually in production, despite the fact that it has already been produced by the creator and it is being replayed. The difference is that when the creator originally created the movie that is being replayed now, he had watched that movie. And then now you are given the opportunity to refine the movie and make it more interesting. And so he too is seated somewhere enjoying what you're enjoying your journey in the recreation of this movie that he had originally created. And so we should begin to see ourselves as partners in the process of refining this movie that has originally been created and delivered by the universal creator. I have talked about mistakes and its benefits, but I have not exhausted the issue of mistakes. I only elicited, I'm only trying to elicit our criticisms, our responses, our comments in order to further run on it. Let me divert to issue of relationship and how relationship metamorphose. If you were paying attention to the beginning of this video, I said that in this movie, there is movie within movies. There is scene within scene. There is plotting and setting within plotting and setting. And then each character is in some way, okay, interrelated or interconnected with other characters in order to produce the overall result. The process of one character relating with another character, either temporarily or permanently, in the process of producing this universal movie is what we call relationship. So the body ship where two different independent characters come to relate. And that ship sets sail from that point. And the name of that ship becomes relationship. So relationship is a coming together of two or more persons with different backgrounds who have genuine interest, whether genuine interest or not, to genuine interest in one another's capabilities, okay, with the view of reaching certain objectives. The objectives might be for just fun, the objectives might just be for just companionship, and the expectations or the objective might be extended even further towards marriage or lifetime commitment. And so let me tilt towards the marriage. And so this particular person starts off the journey by having relationship with different persons, especially persons from the opposite sex. At that time, they might have 5, 10 persons who they are in a normal, cordial, platonic relationship with. But as time goes on, this particular person begins to see similarity or patterns between him and certain persons within his sphere of relationship, his or her sphere of relationship. And so he or she handpicks those individuals and takes them further inside the circle of his relationship. And so those people become acquaintances. And moving forward, they see people that they enjoy their company, they feel at home with. And from within this already shrinked sphere of relationship called acquaintances, they select also people who will move further inside into another circle called intimate relationships. And if it is going to be a monogamous relationship or marriage, what happens is that this person now looks at one individual who they feel like has certain attributes that complement their kind of person and their expectations. And so they tend to go further into another level of relationship called courtship. Now, I don't want to just jump these stages without telling you what happens in these stages and when we make our mistakes, when we are venturing into marriage. The best place to actually study people and understand their traits, characters, is at the very first outer layer, where the relationship is not properly defined. We are just friends. The chances becomes limited when you venture into acquaintance level. It reduces, that chances again reduces when you further venture into intimate relationship. And the chances to really study that person well reduces even further when you not declare your intention to enter into courtship. Why do I say so? People are natural with you. They are open with you when the relationship is not yet properly defined, but they are your friends, especially that of the opposite sex. Of comments they make, how they talk about other people, how they see life in general, how they view relationship, the kind of gossips that they engage in, what they are saying, their actions and their inactions at that time are involuntary. And so, if you are smart enough, you can begin to pick clues that would help you zero in on the kind of person you would want to spend the rest of your life with. If you are not able to do that at the normal relationship level, the platonic level, your chances to get this deep information about the other person reduces once you enter into the acquaintance stage. And that is how it continues to shrink as you enter into the intimate stage. And the moment you say to one particular person, we are in a courtship, the chances reduce by half. What happens is that people now are deliberate in displaying their person and their characteristics before who they are in a relationship with. They are more courteous, they are more responsible, they are more guided with their utterances. Unlike when they are in the outer layer of relationship, when nothing serious or tangible was in for them. And so, what does that tell us? If you're not yet married, you're not in a courtship, but you have many friends of the opposite sex, you have ample opportunity to choose from the myriads of friends you have, your life partner, without them knowing that you're already studying them. Let me digress a little bit. I said earlier that this video have no particular topic. I'm just generally speaking. Now, let's come to marriage. Have you noticed that the moment you say, I engage you and we're in a courtship, that person begins to become lively. The other person, especially the other person outside yourself, tends to become better at what they do, tends to drop their excesses and their baggage outside, tends to be more real positively with you, and tends to downplay their negative sides. That is the brutal truth. People in courtship hide more secrets, keep more secrets to their partners than those who are in a regular, non-defined relationship with them. Because at this point in time, everybody wants to be at their best game possible. And so Forget all those things about courtship is a time to really understand yourself or know yourself. I would rather say courtship, when it is properly defined, is the time that authorities in charge of pre-marriage counseling services, okay, that's their time to really help you people evaluate. They become the third eye. Why? The reason is not far-fetched. In courtship, there seems to be a release of a cloud, that beclouds of a fog that beclouds our ability to see beyond our nose. It affects our judgment, it affects how we see the other person. So when we look at it from that angle, we begin to realize that courtship is not necessarily the best time for intended couples to study and know themselves better. It is just the time that is being allotted to third parties to help them streamline their choices and make better decisions about themselves and their partners. The best time couples would see truly who their partners are at such a time where the relationship is not properly defined. That is where people are raw and real. Let me shift gears. Have you noticed that how you relate with the opposite sex in the lower strung, lower rung of the relationship ladder determines how they behave in the higher rung of the relationship ladder? Let me explain. If you know somebody today and the person falls into the outer layer of the relationship with you, which is the platonic level, at that point in time, the person is free with you. You can ask them practically any question and they can come up with the realistics of the realistic answer possible without mincing words. Why? Because there is no stake. There is no stake. The moment you shift closer to them and you draw them in to your acquaintance level, they begin to also study you and you are studying them. They begin to now know what they will say that will offend you. And they start limiting those utterances. You also will start limiting your utterances because you are beginning to study and know what makes them happy and what offends them. By the time you are bringing them into the intimate level of relationship, they begin to also develop the capacity to accommodate your not too good qualities without necessarily telling you the truth as it is. And so if you behave somehow and you want feedback from them, they are careful, but they will still spill the truth, but the truth will be half truth in most scenarios, 80% of the time. When you further bring them into courtship, that chance is further cut down by another 40%. And so, because this person has taken much more interest in you than the other person, and then courtship is an ideal or a promise, so to speak, that marriage will come. They are now very careful also not to offend or bruise your ego. And so they are deliberately now, they are so deliberate with the words that come out from the mouth. They will process it in their mind before spilling it. Their actions, okay, also would also be properly checked to a large extent before they exhibit it, especially if they are genuinely into it. Again, I ask the question, do you want to get the best out of your partner? Do you want to really know them for who they are? where to start is from the very lowest rung or layer of the relationship ladder. Let me let me just expose it somehow. A relationship between a man and a woman. If, for example, the man zeroes in on one particular lady and attempts to have sexual relations with her at the level of intimate relationship, and she succumbs, and then he accommodates her, weighs his pros and his cons of the relationship, and then says, okay, she now qualifies to venture into the courtship level. At the courtship level now, because the lady now knows that the man has zeroed in on her, what she will naturally do is to begin to cut off sexual relations with other partners she might be having. And that becomes a promise to this particular man that, look, I am denouncing others to focus more and build on this. But there will be certain doubts in the heart of the man. And he begins to weigh these doubts as against the prospects of having her in future as a wife. If the prospects outweighs his doubts, he takes the risk and then enters into the marriage relationship. And of course, from courtship, this particular lady and into marriage will try her possible best to ensure that she makes up for all her misdeeds of having lost her virginity before meeting this right man. And sometimes she's so immersed in it that it will take time to come out, because it is easy to hold yourself when you have not experienced it than to begin to try now to restrict yourself to a partner when you have been exposed to it over and over again. And so you see her struggling to convince this particular man that, look, I might have mistakenly done this thing with other persons before now, but by my actions, I am communicating to you that I will try and improve on my trying to make sure that you will be the only one for the rest of our lives that will see my nakedness moving forward. And so some men will see that commitment that is not lightly spoken and will flow with it and trust her enough and help her to become a better version of herself and keep to her commitment. And so they cannot enter into marriage. Such kind of persons tend to be easier to deal with in the relationship because they had lost their pride and their dignity at some point, only for them to be compensating for it in the marriage. Okay? And if the man is good at his game, he will end up bringing the best from her and turning her into a gem of invaluable proportions, so that he will be the envy and the toast of men outside, and she will be the envy and the toast of women outside. On the other side, also, if a man zeroes in on a woman who is deliberate about keeping herself intact till marriage, he tends to throw away other red flags about her 80% of the time. And he would not want to take time to properly study other character traits that she has beyond the issue of fidelity. And so he is proud of her. They jump into courtship. In no time, they are married, because that on itself or in itself alone is priceless. And so he takes the risk in the belief that every other thing that doesn't add up in her will add up eventually. And so he compensates for her inadequacies with the fact that she came in with her virginity intact. I will not do justice to these different things I'm talking about in one video, but I'm only, like I said earlier, eliciting our reactions and our responses, our comments. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and comment so that we'll be encouraged to continue on this. And so, both different partners now, different couples, different relationships have metamorphosed into marriage. What happens? They Now, when I talk about virginity, I limited it or restricted it to the female because largely, and by perception, men are not deemed to be virgins, although a man can be virgin in the abstract sense of it, okay? Like, for example, not having experienced sleeping with a woman before he gets married. But it will be limited in the sense that there is no yardstick, there is no meter, there is nothing to prove it. But for a woman, there are evidences. Okay, there is the cat's paw, there are footprints to trace as to the genuinity of such claims. And so that is why I am zeroing in on the woman, not necessarily because men cannot be virgin, men can also be virgin, but it is not much spoken as that of a woman. And so, in the relationship, most of the time, the relationship between a man and a woman who was never a virgin, but over the time she has improved herself, and forever, as long as that relationship lasts, she's trying consistently to compensate by being good, by being submissive, by being respectful, by being industrious and being virtuous. She's compensating for having lost her virginity to someone else other than her present husband. In such relationship, the man who has accepted her for who she is and who has given in to her tends to enjoy such a woman and live healthier and longer. If this woman consistently remains faithful in the marriage. But for the virgin, also in marriage, while she was keeping it before marriage, she was losing out on working on her other characters that makes up the whole. And so it is now the duty of the husband to begin to wash her, cleanse her, redirect her thinking, and improve on those other qualities. But the consolation that he's having is that he met her already. And I've had cases that I've handled personally where it is always that this person has not been exposed to life, and in marriage, she is beginning to be exposed to life, and it is now becoming difficult for the present husband to actually take control of the situation because she's beginning to learn things that she would have learned prior to this time. But there is a middle one. I have talked about extremes. There is a middle one. There is also a relationship where a man zeroes in on a woman, not knowing that she's a virgin. but is attracted solely to her character. Why? Because she has also been exposed to different relationships, but has not lost her virginity. So her virginity is intact, but she has kept it a secret all to herself, while also exposing to herself to different relationships, to different issues, to life in general, to life experiences. This man zeroes in on her not because of the virginity issue, but solely because of her character traits, only for him to know in marriage, inside marriage, that she is actually, was actually a virgin. Men that have such women tend to live longer, enjoy a relationship the better, and have less stress in their marriage because there's no, you know, no rift coming from any place except that is known to marriages. And so, character-wise, she has learned, she has evolved over time. She knows what to expect in a relationship, in marriage. She has been exposed to different relationships. She has been exposed to different men. And so the man is enjoying from both ends. Any problem that she's having right now is what is happening in the relationship and can be easily corrected. And so that is the middle relationship. And so it now takes me to another thing. When these three persons start having problems in their marriage, and the problem are similar, for instance, let's say the woman becomes the breadwinner of the home in these three different relationships. How do you address the problem that comes with such a situation? Especially when it now looks as though the woman is taking advantage of the situation and then disrespecting the husband. As a counselor, what would be your approach to resolving this conflict in these three different marriages? Remember, the problem is the same or looks the same. Would your approach be the same? And that is where most counselors get it from because they want to flow by the rules. They want to go by the books on counseling and relationships. And that is where most of them miss the mark. Wouldn't it rather be better you look at the roots of how the relationship evolved? Because the way, the causes, and the manner in which the woman who lost her virginity, okay, disrespects her husband now inside marriage is different from the causes, the manner, the reasons that brings about disrespect from the woman who maintained her virginity but didn't express life. Okay? It is also different from the disrespect being shown by the woman who also kept her virginity intact but was exposed to different relationships before marriage. They are different scenarios, they are different reasons, and therefore, because of these differences, the approach ought to be different. And so I leave that question to all of us, even as I summarize today, because I want to make this video exactly an hour. So let me run through where I started from. I talked about life. I tried to depict life as a movie. And I told us that life as we live it is a universal movie being produced or that has been produced by the universal creator. And we are presently living in its replay mode. The creator inserted every character at different juncture. And I said that it has scene within scene, plot and settings within plot and setting. It's a movie within movie. And I told us the difference between this life movie from human-made movie. In human-made movie, the producer says what he wants, compels the characters to adjust their performances, even when the characters themselves feel that they have performed the best. The producer, through the director, will say, no, you are not yet at your best. But in life universal movie, the creator only hands to us manual for living and then leaves us, gives us the opportunity, the free will to decide whether we want to adjust our life experiences as we continue on the journey. We have liberty to either adjust, repent when we make mistakes. Repent here, I said it is not the scriptural type of repent. It is the repent in it, gotten in its original text, context of the word, which means changing our behavior when we see that the behavior is emitted or displayed goes contrary to what we expect. When there is a change in that behavior, is what I refer to as repent. And so I moved from there into dealing with the concept of mistakes. What is the purpose of mistakes? Okay, I talked about in trying to expatiate on it. I decided to talk about crime and the benefits of it, if there is any benefits, or crime is just inherently bad or evil. Okay, and then I talked about the division in believing that people change. Some people are of the opinion that people never change, and some people are of the opinion that people have the capacity and can actually change. And I told us a little about the shortcomings of both ends. And then I went further into relationship. And then I talked about the different layers of relationship and then ventured into marriage. Thank you very much for listening to me. These the issues expressed here are my personal opinions. However, I crave your indulgence to comment on it, to agree or disagree. And where you have questions, please do not hesitate to post the questions. And if you need private response, I will private respond to you. Thank you so much. Do not forget to subscribe in order to encourage us. Like our page also and comment. Thank you so much. Meet you next week on the other side of this series. Thank you so much.